Have you ever felt like no matter how hard you try, people just don't respect you the way you deserve? You're at work, pouring your heart into a project, but your ideas get dismissed. Or worse, someone else takes credit. At home, your family seems to take you for granted, even though you're juggling a million responsibilities. It's like you're running on a treadmill, giving it everything you've got, but you're still stuck in place, invisible, undervalued. It's frustrating, isn't it? You start to wonder if the problem is you. But here's the truth. Respect isn't something you beg for. It's something you earn, not from others, but from yourself. Imagine walking into a room and feeling confident, not because of what others think, but because you know you've mastered yourself. By the end of this video, you'll discover 6 terrible habits that are quietly sabotaging your respect, and how to replace them with powerful, life-changing practices. Stick around, because this could be the moment you start to rebuild your self-worth from the inside out. If you're ready to take control, hit that subscribe button and let's dive in together. 1. Gossiping, the quiet trust killer. Gossiping might feel like harmless chit-chat, but it's one of the quickest ways to lose respect. When you talk about others behind their backs, you're not just damaging their reputation, you're damaging your own. People start to see you as untrustworthy, someone who can't be relied on. And deep down, you know it doesn't feel right. It's like planting a seed of doubt in every relationship you have. I remember a time when I fell into this trap. I was at work, and a group of us were talking about a coworker's recent mistake. It started innocently enough. Just venting, I thought. But soon I found myself adding fuel to the fire, sharing frustrations I hadn't even realized I had. I felt like I was part of the group included. But then, word got back to the coworker. They confronted me, hurt and angry, and suddenly, I was the one everyone was whispering about. My colleagues started keeping their distance, and I felt isolated, like I'd built a wall around myself. It was painful to realize that my own words had led to this mess. I blamed myself, and rightly so. I'd let my need to fit in override my integrity. Why does this happen? Gossiping often comes from insecurity or a desire to belong. It's easy to bond over shared complaints, but it shows a lack of character. People can sense when you're not genuine, and they start to wonder, if they talk about others like this, what do they say about me when I'm not around? It's a vicious cycle that erodes trust and respect. But here's where we can find clarity. An ancient philosopher once said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one." That's Marcus Aurelius, and his words remind us to focus on what we can control, our own actions and words. You can't control what others do, but you can choose not to gossip. By doing so, you're showing integrity, not just to others, but to yourself. I decided to make that change. Whenever I felt the urge to gossip, I asked myself, is this helping me or anyone else? Usually the answer was no. So I started staying silent or redirecting the conversation. It wasn't easy at first. It felt awkward, like I was breaking an unspoken rule. But over time, people noticed. They began to trust me more, and I felt a sense of pride in my own character. It was like reclaiming a piece of myself. So here's my call to action for you. Next time you're tempted to gossip, pause and think. Do you want to be the person who tears others down, or the one who builds trust? Choose integrity and watch how respect follows. Start small. Redirect one conversation this week. You'll feel the difference, and so will those around you. 2. Being passive-aggressive, the silent resentment builder. Being passive-aggressive is like poison in your relationships. It's when you're upset but don't say it directly. Instead, you drop hints, give the silent treatment, or make sarcastic comments. They might feel satisfying in the moment, but they create confusion and resentment. People start to see you as immature or manipulative, and that chips away at their respect for you. I've been there, and it's not a proud memory. I remember a time when my spouse and I were planning a family event. I felt overwhelmed by work and didn't want to deal with the extra stress, But instead of saying that, I sulked. I gave short answers, avoided eye contact, and made snarky remarks like, "Sure, let's just do everything like always." My spouse was confused, then frustrated, and eventually we had a huge argument. They accused me of being childish, and I couldn't deny it. I'd let my emotions control me, and it pushed us apart. I blamed myself for letting my frustration fester instead of addressing it head-on. Why does this happen? Passive aggressiveness often stems from a fear of confrontation. You're afraid to say what you really feel, so you express it indirectly. But here's the problem. People aren't mind readers. They can't understand what you're feeling unless you tell them, and when they're left guessing, they feel manipulated. It's like trying to navigate a maze in the dark. No one wins. Here's where we can find a way forward. A wise thinker once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." That's Epictetus, and his words remind us to focus on our reactions. You can't control how others behave, but you can control how you communicate. Being direct, even when it's uncomfortable, shows maturity and respect for yourself and others. I decided to change. The next time I felt frustrated, I took a deep breath and spoke up. I told my spouse, "I'm feeling overwhelmed and I need help with this event." It wasn't easy. It felt vulnerable, but they appreciated my honesty. We worked together, and it brought us closer. It was like lifting a weight off my shoulders. So, here's my advice for you. Next time you're tempted to be passive-aggressive, stop and ask yourself, what do I really need to say? Be honest and direct. It might feel scary, but it's worth it. Start small. Address one issue this week. You'll build stronger relationships and earn respect in the process. 3. Never taking responsibility, the blame shifter. Never taking responsibility is like handing over your power to others. It's when you blame external factors for your mistakes, your boss, your coworkers, even the weather. They might buy it for a while, but eventually people see through it. They start to see you as weak and unreliable, someone who can't be trusted to own their actions. And that's a fast track to losing respect. I've been guilty of this, and it cost me. I remember a time when I missed a deadline at work. I'd procrastinated, but instead of admitting that, I blamed my team. They didn't support me enough, the tools were outdated, the client was unreasonable. My boss listened, but I could see the disappointment in their eyes. Later, a coworker pulled me aside and said, "You're better than this. Take ownership." It stung, but they were right. I'd let my fear of failure blind me, and it made me look weak. I blamed myself for dodging accountability instead of facing the truth. Why does this happen? Blaming others is a defense mechanism. You're afraid to admit you messed up because it feels like failure. But here's the thing. People respect honesty, not perfection. When you refuse to take responsibility, you're showing a lack of self-awareness, and that pushes people away. Here's where we can find strength. An ancient philosopher taught that we should focus on what we can control, our own actions and choices. That's Seneca, and his words remind us that while you can't control outcomes, you can control how you respond. Taking responsibility isn't about self-blame. It's about taking charge of your growth. I decided to change. The next time I made a mistake, I owned it. I told my boss, "I missed this deadline because I didn't manage my time well. Here's how I'll fix it." It was humbling, but they respected my honesty. My team saw me as a leader, not a victim. It was like stepping into my own power. So, here's my call to action for you. Next time you mess up, pause and ask yourself, what can I own in this situation? Be honest and take responsibility. It's not comfortable, but it's liberating. Start small. Admit one mistake this week. You'll earn respect and feel stronger for it. 4. Lack of basic hygiene, the silent self-saboteur. Lack of basic hygiene might seem trivial, but it's a loud signal about your self-respect. When you neglect grooming, skip showers, or wear dirty clothes, people notice. They start to see you as someone who doesn't care, and that chips away at their respect for you. But more importantly, it chips away at your own self-worth. I've been there, and it's a dark place. I remember a tough period when I was juggling work and family stress. I stopped caring about my appearance, skipped showers, wore wrinkled clothes, didn't bother shaving. I thought, who cares? I'm too busy. But then I noticed people at work keeping their distance. My spouse made a gentle comment, and it hit me. I'd let myself go, and it showed. I felt ashamed, like I'd lost a piece of myself. I blamed myself for letting my struggles define me instead of taking care of myself. Why does this happen? Neglecting hygiene often stems from stress or low self-esteem. You feel overwhelmed, so you let the small things slide. But here's the problem. Those small things matter. They're a reflection of your self-discipline, and when you neglect them, you're sending a message to yourself and others that you don't value yourself. Here's where we can find clarity. A wise thinker once said, "The first duty of every man is to himself." That's a Stoic idea, and it reminds us that self-care isn't selfish, it's essential. Taking care of your hygiene isn't about impressing others, it's about respecting yourself. I decided to change. I started small, showering every morning, shaving regularly, wearing clean clothes. It wasn't glamorous, but it felt like reclaiming my dignity. People noticed, and I felt better about myself. It was like rebuilding a foundation. So here's my advice for you. Next time you're tempted to skip self-care, pause and ask yourself, am I honoring myself right now? Treat yourself with care, not because of others, but because you deserve it. Start small. Commit to one daily habit this week. You'll feel the difference, and so will those around you. 5. Constant complaining. The energy drain. Constant complaining is like a dark cloud hanging over your life. It's when you focus on everything that's wrong, your job, your family, the weather. They might listen at first, but eventually, people tune you out. They start to see you as negative and draining, someone who pulls them down instead of lifting them up. And that's a sure way to lose respect. I've been there, and it's exhausting. I remember a phase when I complained about my job nonstop. Meetings were too long, my boss was unfair, the work was boring. I thought I was just venting, but my spouse started avoiding conversations, and my coworkers stopped inviting me to lunch. One day, a friend said, "You're always so negative, it's hard to be around you." It hurt, but they were right. I'd let my complaints define me, and it pushed people away. I blamed myself for focusing on problems instead of solutions. Why does this happen? Complaining often stems from a lack of perspective. You feel powerless, so you focus on what's wrong instead of what you can change. But here's the problem. People are drawn to positivity, not negativity. When you complain constantly, you're draining their energy, and they start to distance themselves. Here's where we can find strength. An ancient philosopher taught that we should accept what we can't change and focus on what we can. That's Marcus Aurelius. And his words remind us that while you can't control outcomes, you can control your mindset. Complaining keeps you stuck. Seeking solutions moves you forward. I decided to change. Whenever I felt the urge to complain, I asked myself, can I change this? If not, can I accept it? I started focusing on solutions, talking to my boss, finding new projects, appreciating small wins. People noticed, and I felt lighter. It was like clearing the air. So, here's my call to action for you. Next time you're tempted to complain, pause and ask yourself, what can I do about this? Focus on solutions, not problems. Start small. Shift one complaint into a solution this week. You'll build stronger relationships and earn respect in the process. 6. Being chronically late, the time disrespecter. Being chronically late is like telling people their time doesn't matter. It's when you're always rushing out the door, showing up late to meetings, or keeping friends waiting. They might forgive you once or twice, but eventually, they see you as unreliable and disrespectful. and that chips away at their respect for you. I've been guilty of this, and it cost me. I remember a time when I was juggling work and family responsibilities. I was always running behind, late to meetings, late to pick up my kids, late to dinner with friends. I thought, they'll understand I'm busy. But then my boss called me out, saying, "Your tardiness is affecting the team." A friend stopped inviting me out, and it hit me. I'd let my poor time management disrespect others. I blamed myself for not valuing their time. Why does this happen? Being late often stems from poor planning or a lack of priority. You think, it's just a few minutes, but those minutes add up. People start to see you as someone who doesn't care, and that erodes trust and respect. Here's where we can find clarity. A wise thinker once said, "Men are disturbed not by things, but by the views they take of them." That's Epictetus, and his words remind us to value time, ours and others. Being punctual isn't just about showing up, it's about showing respect. I decided to change. I started planning my day the night before, setting reminders and leaving early. It wasn't easy. It meant saying no to distractions, but people noticed. My boss trusted me more, and my friends appreciated my effort. It was like rebuilding trust. So, here's my advice for you. Next time you're tempted to leave late, pause and ask yourself, am I valuing their time right now? Be punctual, not just for others, but for yourself. Start small. Commit to being on time for one event this week. You'll earn respect and feel stronger for it. So, there you have it. 6 habits that can instantly make people lose respect for you. Gossiping, being passive-aggressive, never taking responsibility, neglecting basic hygiene, constantly complaining, and being chronically late. But here's the good news. Awareness is the first step to change. By recognizing these habits in yourself, you're already on the path to self-mastery. Take a moment to reflect. Which of these habits do you need to tackle first? Start small, but start today. Whether it's holding your tongue instead of gossiping or showing up on time for your next meeting, every step counts. You're not just earning respect from others, you're rebuilding your self-worth from the inside out. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe for more insights on how to live a life of purpose and respect. And share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear which habit you're committed to changing. Remember, respect isn't something you demand, it's something you earn through your actions. So, go out there and be the person you want to be respected as. We're in this together, and I believe in you.